Hi everyone, it's Maria from J'adore le papier. I'm back with a flip through of an art and fashion journal and altered book. I've called her Gabrielle. It's to celebrate Chanel's life, loves, and fashion history through the 1920s. I made it using a 1905 Norse history book that I've used before. They have the most gorgeous etched and gold gilded covers. It used to have a leather spine, but that didn't make it, so I've rebuilt the spine, which is now 3.5 inches. With the rebuilt spine, it now measures about 6.5 inches across, 9.25 inches top to bottom, 3.5 inch spine if you don't fill it with the jewelry, and then alligator mouth, I'd say about 4.25 inches. For this spine, I wanted to do a double floating, meaning 2 different types of fabric to really show off the spine. The outer blue is actually a blue rayon chiffon. Lightweight, it has roses and camellias on it. It's sort of a light blue gray. And then on the inside is a very strong linen flour sack, vintage, very nearly antique. I got it from Mia at a brown paper parcel. I knew it would be able to give the strength needed for the extra heavy weight of the jewelry, but also allow for flexibility. On the inside cover, you'll see the Nepal handmade paper that I love to use as my end papers. It's so strong and so fibrous that it can take fabrics or anything you pretty much want to put on there. I've put a vintage floral fabric I believe I got from Diane at my old barn door, but it looks very French and very old, supposed to represent the late 1800s, which is her childhood. And then in the pocket, you'll see that very iconic photo of her wearing that mariner shirt with the horizontal navy stripes. That is, first of all, was a man's shirt. Second, only mariners or fishermen wore it. And third, she's wearing it with pants. Chanel was born 19th of August, 1883 in the Loire region of France. She actually had 5 siblings, and I believe one died during infancy. Her mother, Jeanne, was a laundrywoman at a local charity hospital run by nuns, and her dad was a traveling salesman. He actually sold undergarments and clothing. So they led a very nomadic lifestyle. But by 1894, when she was 11 years old, her mother died, and so her and her 2 sisters were sent to a convent called the Aubazine. I believe it was run by the Sacred Heart of Mary congregation. Saint-Gaultier actually was a war chaplain, and he ran an orphanage. So this authentic French ephemera commemorates him, and it has a little piece of his cloth, that white square there. This, as well as the picture of the inside of a chapel and the French prayer to Jesus, all come from Catherine, who's at French Biedu on Etsy. I love the sweet little picture of this girl and her bangs, the little snippet of French lace and the pink ballet trim. And then that little packet right behind her is actually vintage sewing needles from Britain. And I thought collectively they represent what Gabrielle was learning as a child between the ages of 11 and 18 in Alpezin. It's so interesting because all of this came from Catherine at French Biedu. And at the time that I purchased the little surprise box, she didn't know that I was making Gabrielle, so it just kind of fell together perfectly. Thank you, Catherine. I really, really love this vintage French wallpaper from Heather at Ruby and Pearl XO. It came from our paper swap, and I only have a small strip left, so I cut this in half and I kept half for myself. But the old block printing technique, it just feels like maybe acrylic paint on really matte art paper, but it has a chalky feel because it wasn't sealed. Anyway, I think it goes perfectly with this postcard of, shall we say, a cabaret girl or a cafe concert singer, which is the job that Gabrielle had when she turned 18. She worked both in Moulin and a village or town called Vichy. Even though the picture of that young man isn't Etienne, it's what I imagined he looked like as a young man. And that chateau, even though that's not exactly his, if you look it up online, that's actually very close in size and proximity to the forest and the green areas and the surrounding fields. It's actually where Chanel learned to ride horses and wear pants. There's a special picture of them in the very back of the book that I've saved. The little blue navy millinery trim is also from Miab. In France, and then I believe that small key is a vintage French key that I got from Catherine, but it represents a key to his chateau since she lived with him for several years. While living with Etienne, she made hats and sold them to his wealthy friends. She learned to run a business that way. She learned the business mindset, or maybe she was born with it, in my opinion. She rode horses while wearing pants. She was gifted with pearls and jewelry, and the doors opened up for her, and she took full advantage, and she walked right through. Just like in the first Norse history book that I made into a sketchbook, some pages were stuck together, so you might find 2 secret pockets in this journal. In 1908, Gabrielle met the love of her life, Arthur Boy Capel. He was a wealthy Englishman, self-made I believe, and he was also a polo player. Their affair lasted, I believe, over 10 years between 1908 and 1919. Unfortunately, they never married. He did marry a wealthy English aristocrat, Lady Diana Wyndham, in 1918, but he never gave up on Gabrielle. He believed in her so much he invested in her first store at 21 Rue Cambon and then her beach resort in Deauville. These are the last little bits of fabric that I have from Heather at Ruby and Prolexo from our exchange. That gold, it's sort of a fine, softer version of tulle. She got it from a little girl's dress, so I'm going to be looking from now on. And the floral, that's my favorite design. I think she has it also scanned as part of her Les Artistes pack, digital pack. That little pin with a cameo picture of this little baby is the sweetest thing. Even though Gabrielle never had children, she had a nephew. That's actually a profile picture of Gabrielle I found on Pinterest, but no one seems to have an exact date in the description. But if I had to guess, based on the haircut, it might be late 1915 through early 1920s. She already has that confidence and that attitude, even though she still looks so young. She, in fact, no longer looks like just Gabrielle, but is now Chanel. These are the accordion style pages that I mentioned from the original Norse history book. They were left uncut by the bookmaker, but I love being able to use it as an accordion slash timeline for my journals. These have pictures from later years, so even though we haven't gone into her other stores yet, these are sketches from 1917 of actual Chanel dresses. Background is Japanese paper, and then the cartoon is of her selling hats in her 1919 during 1919, and that's backed by one of Heather's digital downloads. I think it might be the French Blue digital kit. There are so few pictures of Gabrielle and her family in the early years, so they are not very well labeled or exact dates are not known, but this one actually is from her Deauville store in 1913. It looks like that might be her Aunt Adrienne instead of her sister, just because of the stronger jawline, and I think she might be a little bit older. This is my favorite photo in the whole journal. To be able to capture laughter on film, especially of Gabrielle in front of her early stores. This one is 1913 Deauville. I'm guessing that is Gabrielle on the left and her sister Antoinette on the right. But moments like this are so far and few, and to me, this represents Gabrielle. With the success of her first 3 stores, the original at 21 Rue Cambon and then Deauville and Biarritz, she was able to repay Bois Capelle her original loans or investments. And now she was planning to return to Paris, and she was thinking big, as in buying real estate. Heather, your ladies by the sea are so perfect for this journal. Did you make this just for Gabrielle's stores in Biarritz and Deauville? It's almost as if you planned it perfectly. Look at how excited they are to go to Chanel. In the October 1, 1926 issue of Vogue magazine, Chanel's little black dress makes her debut, but they describe it as the Chanel Ford, a frock that all the world will wear, but they compare it to a car. Chanel's little black dress was just a brief mention in that debut of the Winter Mode article. Too bad they couldn't write up a little bit more. If they only knew